Bhí nGaeltacht dúch daratha criniú sa néir, bhí cuireann a thabhairí gal líon sa spéir, agus gasraí na héite na hacú bhín glá, a ní chluinnear an ngéire fan na cladaí go deá.
For a kick off I hate talking about it, because they were all my own mates. We're all run about till like a one team, acting and football and all this kind of thing.
I saw this gruesome sight. I looked, there was bodies and parts of bodies all over the place.
Dúine bhuaitear a bheith isteach a bhallachtaí bhí dúine darú gur mBaile dúine tháinig garthú, ná tháinig an Tubáiste Baile Mhánais. Leis ní raibh sin ach bara lethe dúine.
Tá pobl bhla dú I dtí ar leisceal agus aitheantas an stáit don damáiste bhilteanna a rinneú daofa.
Seo Baile Mhánais, Baile Farin chas farige an bhla dú nGaeltacht Donegal. Dúige ealainne ton nach bhfuil muintear na héite álachar. Creideann coideachú sin ggólann éileacht sin trúilíthe ar bhalla ag tragaid bhilteanna a tharla in sin I mí na Bealtaine 1993. Tragaid a bhfuil cibhne ar go dtí an leithniú héin. Tragaid tharla maran nar cheart tharlú ar chorarbí, agus na tharla hau de mó na húdarais a mó na nualgaisí mar ba cheart. Tagan pobl na héite le cheile gach bliain agus cúi arú le cibhniú arú siúd a mariú. Ach tá farag másca leis an chúi sin, de bhrí go girideann siad go ndearnú fáilí de éon toras le na chinseú le deocú scíal omlan Baile Mhánais chun solas go deá. Sa bhí an 1923, bhí an dara cogú damhanda faoi lein seáil, agus de bhrí gur an éireann neodra níor tharla an léirscris céarna an seo agus a tharla I díre eile ar fud na hórappa. A bhí tinchar ag an chogu ar chunda Donegal ar dhéagháid. Bhí a muintear héin scapa an Albain agus a Sasanna ag obair na Mhánarchain, agus bhí a chuid tréanna lein de iarhairtí an chogaí sin.
Bhí chuid mhór éadalatha teachtaiste an tam sin, agus bhí síl cruaigh an basin am a chogaí, agus bhí raisian san agus a hanrad agus bhí ar ghaoine imeacht gus ran na fearste go dtí éite le chuirtú bí, agus bhí bara le bailí álathataiste agus bailí iscibhethe agus mar sin agus bhí daoine thart fan chásta bhí siad a tógan ar dí seo agus is stáithí nach rós ag na gasarí, is gasarí á go chuid mhór a bhí an, is stáithí nach rós a go bhfuir tús go déhí an sa bhíana.
Tháinig is rud ar snáw san airige cógara de Ellen Uai, hart fa bhíle ón chlada tróna dealúin ar an deithú leid a bhí na Bealtaine. Scapú an scíal agus malú idir ág agus fisra ón dúige le heachta ghaircar. Is beag a hílsiad go gailtí nuig leag na déag de jasca na fisreachta sin I Tubáiste Baile Mhánais. Rugu agus tógu ma héanaar an na fearste, míle na gá ó Baile Mhánais. Agus cé go rósagam gur phleasc mianach farige a bharí nuig leag na déag de ar ág na héite, bhí gréad in scéalan a bhoscail ceisteanna anam. Ceisteanna gan freagraí, raflaí, fíricí, agus finscéalta, fitte fuaite trína chéile, agus tuiscint linn go ndearnú éagar mhór ar an phobal. Tá má móthónaí sa dúige seánais, agus mé mar chud de phobal teagartha I gantar na seanscala ar nar chruinní an cáiste crónéire I ndéana na Tubáiste. An scal chéarna an ar éalaú den chead uair go ndeanaí fisreacha neamhs blea ar an eachtra, fistrahan neus blea nar tharla riau. Is big dinne a chonig an eachtra a tá beániu, agus tá prain mar sin le contas cimsia a dhéanú tharla inis, sa dói agus go méid omlan an scéil ag na glúnta a tá le hacht. Is sa teasio a tógu Mary Rosie Baile ag a heithir agus an muthar mhór, as rud ag ro a tismarí héin hall is sasna i gobar. Ní ro sé a jimnealna de is nuair a chail an sean lenin trúr mach, tá cyfne ínta ici imachtaí na híige sin, ihe mar ein ihe eile agus a heithir mór ag gal tá chuid ibre mar cheannaí bá.
I believe it was in Gidor. He bought a cow. And the boys were hanging around waiting for him to come home. And he finally showed up around 8 o'clock. And they put the cow in the byre, and the two of them jumped on their bicycles, and that was the end of them. They wouldn't leave until he was safely home. They made sure that he was safely home before they went any place.
Míon sa bhaige hín danseaigh snáw, mianach dú gréanna nach ra réir na éaw. Réir a réibú le farig, agus a larag éagal chréigh bhealach dearach.
A lot of the boys, a lot of the local lads were all going down to see this mine coming in. And quite a lot of them went down to see the mine coming in, you know. And I didn't like it, but Joseph went down, my brother Joseph went down as well.
Before she died, the year and a half. That's me. I mean, they were dancing Mickey Johnny Strand me in a leg the night before. So I was asking one of the girls that night, any chance of getting tea? Well, no tea this 3 weeks. My mother would like to get tea. She says, come down tomorrow night and I'll give you a pound of tea. So, and the next day came, and there were a fella came into the house, only Rosie. There were 3 of them brothers killed that night. Only Rosie, they called him. And he says, come on away down to the Strand. He says, there's something down there, everybody down to the Strand. And I was going with him. And my mother says, what about the woman that promised to give you tea? Well, I says to Tony, if you wait, I was young and fit. If you wait for an hour and a half, I'll be back. So my mother gave me a pound to get the tea. And I went to get the and when I came back, Oni was away. And I says to her, where did only Rosie go? He went away down to the Strand and he told you to go down after him when you'd come.
Nuair a tháinig na stócaí nuascha na tré, iad a scartí sa gléimní na han síla bhí bré. Níor hiic siad a dothar hí na líon sa chuan, a réipú na crétar go deách an suan.
Is sé Patrick bhríon searcaí an taon duine a bhharan beá a bhí ar an tré nuair a tháinig an mianach a dír. Ní raibh sé a coppla slat huia, ach Jimmy sé an tré díreach san ar phleasc se.
I was here from 6 o'clock to 9:30, and I was watching the mine coming away in the bay here. It was going very slow, you know, but then when it was 4 or 5 yards from the rock just out there, we all ran up, and we went behind, see the high hill up there. We didn't behind that, you can stand there and look down, and then it hit the rocks. Same as an empty barrel. Everyone shouted, it's empty.
And then it hit the rock and it made a hollow sound, and I suppose that gave you a wee bit of courage, did you?
Oh, well, everyone shouted then when the hollow sound empty. And then it moved a bit then. It hit the rock out here first, and then it moved round and it came in.
I was in the banks herding the cows that day. When I came home at night, my brother Eddie was gone down to the beach, to the mine. My sister was ironing clothes in the house. Francie, my brother Francie, came up and only Sharka. And they came up to go to a meeting in the hall. And they left down at the mine. But my other brother, Mickey, he was on his way up when the mine went off.
The blast went off and anything that was in the house kind of loose at all fell on the floor. So we left the tea behind us and away we went with the two bicycles.
Bhí me muí buchaíocht ar an fearste, muí is coinneann taí agus bhí sin gur bá agus coppla gaún agus capal an sin agam. Agus an sin cheadra deile, Harlín, an tarman uafas a seo. Ní dáilm gur hit me ach chréise go mitna me agus scada me, gus ní rósach an faoin spéir go dé bhí an bhísam gur cagúam agus a handrút mar sin.
Ní me hen agus cairad am chuid, ní muidir muí, tí muid an teas aganniu agus deanúir gois coideat a héin ar a cholamúide tarman miltena seo agus muí ní rós aganniu go dé bhí an. Ní ráil sa bhí aganniu gasarí gemlí an na daís. Ach dúirc muintin sa trá a danacin tropas agus ní ra eile feiceil aganniu ach rudan mar cloud mór de fóm na farige mór gírí náirdan san é. Wel, fi band o hyd na cwrsym cwrt o gwn. Fi eisiau sti y cwr al am o her yn o'i agos na'r ffer mwyar a hiwdyn chans. Fi eisiau dieflu yn un sy'n am eisiau. Fi eisiau dieflu yn jeg. Na'r ffer sesiwn y chans fi eisiau hiwl ar y rohar. Agos na'r ydym phleasc cailleadh dan rohar e. Fi'n blas melchyn a hon yn gwrn yn wys na'r smwytio yn eisiau. Fi sy'n gwrn gorfod yn dat môr y golar e.
Bhí má ansin san am gréis heí fáití agus bhí sé narach chais amach bhí si cíú na héil si dúirte se gur cinnte go daoine marú go gaithú daoine bhí marú ach ní rosa go sé bhí am.
Once you heard the noise, you knew what it was?
I knew what it was because I was down all evening.
And what went through your mind? Because you knew that your brother Mickey, he was down here.
Tried to get down here as quick as I could. That was that.
And were you fearful?
Well, we were good. What we seen down here, you know, gave us a fright, but...
You came over the hill here, you said, and you met Hughie Sharkey, the sailor Sharkey, as he's known locally, I suppose. What did he say to you when he passed you?
He wanted me to help him. So I told him that people coming behind him would help, that I had to go down, my brother was down here.
And you ran on down?
I ran on down towards the rocks, we came behind, they were sitting, there were four of them sitting against the rock.
Nuair a phleasc an mianach hasin glá, bhí réir gur a chladach nach neantar dearmadá go deá. Bhí maithre cíniú go deala gí, go tír hairlí seo, ó dhia go tí.
Hannig daoine in a rí a adlis an tré i cuairtú ális fan na muintir, a ní ro aon danne réid an ufas a bhí as a góra ma. Ufas a danú lá go deá na neor.
I hate to talk about it, you know, but if we were within 300 yards for the mine went off, we got an arm lying there with a jumper on it. And I knew the arm, how the gansy that he used to wear every day. That was Dominic Rossi. He'd be a fellow about 24 years at the time. Their bodies everywhere, and limbs, hand, arms and things lying about, men lying about. And a few killed beside the disaster, you think you're sitting sleeping there were. There were a few, I don't know, the coffins were all taken up to the Molotov wall then. There were a few missing, but I don't think it was ever got. But yeah, I hate to talk about it.
I thought I must look for my own brother. So I went down among them and I found my brother and his collie dog, black dog, lying beside him. They were both dead, of course, you know. There was a chap leaning against the rocks there, and I said to him, I thought he was alive. And I spoke to him and didn't answer me. So I went over and I took his arm to lift him up. And he came away in the middle. He was cut right through the middle with a blast. I properly take it was the blast. Cut him right through the middle.
The mine went off. My sister was iron and clothes. We left it, and my mother left. She had a shawl on her, and we went down to the strand, the beach. And Francie had my brother Edward up, and he was laying on the grass for my mother to go off her shawl and spread it. I remember the sport all the time. But he was laying.
Bhí Michael Harley a gobar an Albain nuair a phleasc an mianach, agus ní bhuair sé an sciala fá wes a bhar siarthar go cucais in the dhé. Nuair a hanig seo a bhála Albain ba a éair a jinstá é.
That night when the mine went off, as far as I understand, this is his story. He didn't know there was a mine in, but he knew the boys were away to the beach to get some seaweed. When the blast went off, he knew fine was something horrible. He started walking in his bedroom slippers. And when he got so far, he met somebody that told him the mine had went off. There's a lot of people injured. So he carried on anyway to the beach, hoping against hope that none of us would be in it. So he searched along anyway for a time. He came on one son. So he kept on searching anyway. After a time he got the other boy. So he must have kind of lost it. He took off walking away along the beach. And I don't know what his intentions were, but the fella from the port, Francie Dónall, seen him and he knew him and he followed him, he got him. And he was lying conked out that time. So that is what he told me.
Ní raibh Pat Gallagher a ceithre bliana de íos nuair a phleasc an mianach a bharí a éair agus bairt uncle leis. Agus mé geirí teagfáil níos fearr a eil ar an eachtra, chuir má héana agus Pat a adlis an siú in ar phleasc an mianach.
So Pat, this is the direction here in which the mine came in, is it?
Yeah, the mine was in about a mile out there in the evening. And it floated in slowly all evening till it came in here. And this is where it was when it exploded.
So as it was floating in, a crowd were already gathering, watching it coming in?
Yeah, there were a big crowd around the rocks here when it came in there. There were a huge crowd, but a lot of them left there. And it was up about here when it exploded. And you can see where it cut all the rock and blew all the big rocks over there. If you look up here at this rock here, that's where the 4 young fellas were sitting.
Just here, Pat?
Yeah, just that one there. You can see all the marks there's on the rock for the shrapnel came out of took the pieces out of the rock. And there were no marks on them. Only Patrick Breen's young brother had a small hole through his head.
Dan Gaeltacht agus cailleadh a gobar a rí na híthe a geirí harcht ar na carpain na fiú getí de charpain. Tá gúir hiúil seach leag na déag den na maribh go hála ar an bhlatú, a 600 déag agus clíoch iompar a bhain. Rinneú sacrú go gasta go ngeanna iad a leige ara le chéile. Mariú seachtar déag ar an tart agus for bairt le buas a rí na seachtaine ina dhé. War John Joe Carson buachil 5 bliana déag de éis an ihe sin, a for sé buas an leidar gan. Dírí le Anthony Sharkey a bhí 6 bliana déag de éis an taspidil a hainte má a cailleadh isin seachtain ina dhé sin.
Bhín meistir sa scail a scartí an ralla, bhín lígón ar dhéag an líon sa hala, Na siahan is a chunne, bhí Mhánais fallú, na bhí na gasrí bachta le galgadjá faoi hallú.
War het land de graas en chair laten spannen de raas, maar niet horror de rennissen. War het land de graas en chair laten spannen de raas, maar niet horror de rennissen. War het land de graas en chair laten spannen de raas, maar niet horror de rennissen.
Tá cibhne ag John Gréine ó Mhánais rinne fearste, go raibh se le gáil go halla bhfuil a dú fachane dawsa, ach an éit dawsa is freastal ara a rinne se.
Tá mí hena bhí sin í hiúáí, bhí muid lig ag dawsa bhí nGaeltacht, sa hála nGaeltacht. Agus óin muid bhil a dú fáchadún tús ág, úitir cuida, úitir ó maiú, Gama muid ihe waart na ihe hedyn ar ysym cacw. Hie ag daws fi gorau o maladw. Ag hwa mysir. Hwa mysir yla han o wera. Ag ysystad na hol. Ag fi na corra ha sŵa siw o hol ag ta ma heg hemnw go ma hynny. Cyn o wan na lai hwa sy'r yn erdan. Ag hoedera gwn na lai Suas siwa hol. O'r bocht y fi'n. O i yn i hannu ma derma do. Homa fi yn eto leisyn.
Cailleadh Gerhard Charlie Harley sa phleasc, hoi ma hen sa hen adlis an halla agus rinne se chur síostú an dóir na cónraí leacha má vinci an nuas tíú an halla. Tá go seanstan na teaghlaí an réirc dearna eile ar siúd a cailleadh sa dreidiú na cónraí.
They opened them that morning. They knew all the lads that were in the coffins, you know what I mean? But they didn't know what coffins they were in, because they were only coffin down in the Strand, carried up and put on the lorry, and they were carried in here and placed on the benches. Well, that could be your coffin and that could be my coffin, but I mean, you didn't know whose coffins they were. So that they opened them up and for the tag, they wrote the names on the coffins, and the coffins were closed, and that was it.
Fáigu Gracie, Maher Pat Gallagher, na Birch Gasser Og, na a Chalchi a far chéile Dominic. Tá si as cilníocha blian díisianis a tá cibhne wahiki go fáil an seal garage posta a bhí acu le chéile.
We were very happy together. I knew him all my days, you know. Went to the one school together, and from class to class every year, and I saw him every day. We used to make dances together always, you know. There was always a dance every weekend, so that's where we met first. I was going out with him quite a while before we got married.
And you were happy?
Very happy. He was a very, very nice fella.
Is dili an cré agus an ciapú a tal a léu a gontais na nuachtan na sacridí a hawilch, leis an éileacht agus an suanis a winin le rilik an casla. Hispan pat uai a eherdú agus an jaintnar eile a choru an le céarna. Choru an chajele den na morif an anigre nís molle an leisin.
Nere min toro hat ma agus vi ma kans le coid dan na mochera. Ni teni vi anna tamsi. Ni rosa go kirse te kansles, ni rosa go jevse dore, hol koja ko gondoi.
Da réiricheile tan tragaid I gíri ní sáilear a dú, agus teigim go nehaí an mianach sin I bhéim ar a bhád ní smó na nuig leag na déag. Bhí íbertí eile an nar animniú ein leach chimhnehain éiriú a síl go jaw de bhhair na Tubáiste sin.
Well, I remember my grandfather, he just never settled down. He just never accepted it. He roamed, he just kept on coming and going and coming and going. There was no consoling him. He was inconsolable. My grandmother, she was stronger. There was a rosary in the hall for a month, but she never went to one of them. He went to all of them, but she never. She went the day after the coffins were laid out, and she wanted to see the boys, but they didn't want to show them to her. But she insisted, and they opened one, Patrick's coffin. She took one look at him, and she never looked at any of the rest. She didn't want to see the other two.
Did she worry about her husband?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She worried that he would harm himself. She was constantly watching out for him and looking out for him. He was a very tragic figure afterwards. And he kept going for about 3 or 4 months. And after that, he just basically went to bed and never got out of it again. He died a year later.
Na trí chónra a luaí Mary Rosie, bhí Carpain Patrick, Owen agus Dominic Gallagher ina líon tú. Agus chail heile eile muintir Harley agus muintir Duffy, chail siad san Birchwalk fásta. Ní raibh an duine a báide for buas a 3 bliana déag de ís, agus an duine ba henne tríocha cethar. Bhí clán ag Birch den na Ferracaliú. Bhí gach duine acu a for buas in na gcónaí tú istí de chopla míle cearna. Tuigim bhela tinchar na Tubáiste ó híomh na móthain déanais, a bhí implachtaí practicúla an fásta sa bhéidir gur foigu codda na teaghlaí an anas nar a scibú uathe fear a gothaithe. Teispan an patú codda na tithe as ar cáiliú daoine.
But it's sad because there's not a house nearly between any of these houses that someone wasn't lost in.
I know, aye. Yeah.
It's nearly one house.
Yeah.
You move over 200 yards, another house, 200 yards, 200 yards,
Yeah,
200.
every house along there lost somebody, eh? Every house.
Tá sé néid fáide buin, néid tar go léir, anta uigna. Agus a bhuiras go fáil, tá Mhanáis húlman, agus na ham siar féit bhil tú, agus ham háta an háil sin, bunne sé sanghúsam. Teag aharad, teag na blianta agus na blianta góir, teag sé dróm a gáthúil.
Bhí Gaeltaine sin acu gopla paraiste timpla ar a cheantar seo fásta agus cinnte chuirte steachar go dhór a dag sé néal dúthu hís scanna háite an laithé sin agus bhí sé daratha an laithé sin nar a réban mí.
Dan an pobl ina dást faoi néal bróin ar fábhád, a de réiricheile hasí siad ag chur ceisteanna. Could you mar déitú a lehéad seo tharlú? Could you mar harla se gur legiú scafte daoine ága bhí coideachús na déaga go fáil, gáil cóngar at do rud cho contrate sin. Tháinig an mianach ar an trai go lua tróna, agus bhí daoine ag cruniú an na séachlog, an ar phleasc an mianach bidí bagna a dé. Could you a harla idir an dé linn? Bhí go leor ama an le fissach ar na húdarais le go mocú siad an scafte ar hiúil ón éit. Is cinse gur sin an warúil a bhí a Gaeltaine na marú fásta, ná bhí argúint teasaíon nar a chur an Dr. J.P. McGinley an cóiste crónéire ar bun an íchiad ar gin. Is Kevin le Neil McGinley mach leis an chrónéir a bheith a goideachta éair ag an am sin.
Bhí mé leis, beagráil amsa go leis áitir bíthe bheith a gol, agus an tróna sin scabal an bheith gol háartfa erigil agus dan meise sa carta muit agus meise ste harabé ach bhí daoine teachta sa gceamacht agus bhéasa gom gur rudaine maltna siúr bhí tension le mothú an ceart go leor. Nuair a tháinig sé maithas an coiste, ní raibh sé bhád an céad lá, ní raibh sé bhád a stí. Nuair a tháinig sé maith, bhí iontas an céad rud a dúirt sé bhí fearir mí háasta stíhann sin, agus i casaid agus ag rá go cór go mé festrú faidú dé seo agus mar sin dé. Agus bhíon saoir mac a tír an sin agus dír se a fuiste sé sin. Bhí cíal agah agus sin bhfuil sí ceantas na códar leis an bata drain na bhí aige I ggéar ar fuist agus ciúna siad ceart go leor.
The local clergy let them down because my grandfather had words with him the night of the wake in the hall. He was in with a big black thorn stick and him hammering on the coffins, telling the poor old mothers to keep quiet and not be crying. And my grandfather read up on him. And he said to my grandfather that you have no respect for the man in the colour. And my grandfather said he had respect for the colour, but he had no respect for the man in it.
Go ddíra a néin na Tubáiste, bhí go leor daoine ag géirí fisrúthain ofigiúil. Déalaí dlíadarí na nGaeltacht agus an múintear scála éitiúil fisrúthain agus dúirt na Gardaí héin nach rúisiad ina éidean. Híl an crónéir go dálatha fisrúthain agus chéin teachta déile na héite Cormac ó Breslainn na húdarais as gan éon rud a dhéanú leis an Tubáiste haithint. Ní dhearnú fisrúthain riamh. Bhí me héanaan an fola má go ddíra a tharla an ihe sin ó réitis na bhínithe. Tá go tráir an chrónéir gur a ré leis an cháiste ar an tachtú les fichiad de bhí na Bealtaine, thart fa 3 seachtaí in éin na phleasca. An éagmuis fisrúthain ofigiúil tá go fíníthe iste agus bhailí an cáiste chrónéire agus fínise uathu. Thug fear ón cheantar Jim Dugan fínise go bhacaise an mianach thachtar leithinne i ceithir an tróna sin. Thug sé héana agus fear eile amach a gura le réir níos fér a eilir. Nuair a dhéimhne gur mianach a bhíon, thug sé chuig ofaigh an fuist ag an casla agus chur fis ar na Gardaí an anagre. Fuair na Gardaí an scaart gúthain seo ar chearra go ddín seacht. Ba an Sergeant Frank Allen an Garda a bhí am stéisiún anagre. Is é an rud ar an sisin scíala a chur chuig Garda cásta na héite Morgan Dunleavy, I geirí Ersan an scíala isrú. Haman an Lieutenant Dunleavy an coppla míle ar glúisrothair go tréhil a bhainis, ba léir gur ó Dunleavy ar an álas fan Huntart. Bhí sé a hacht a chlog nar a chuir sisin a dhéarthar chuig na Gardaí le jibhnú dífa gur mianach a bhíon. Agus dír sisin ar an scafte ar an tré tar an siar agus fanartar hiúil go deocú na Gardaí leis an éite réite. Jimmy chuid mhór acu mar a dír se ar an daoine eile neamhaontas de rogha agus dan ar an tré. Lord Niall McGinley le Morgan Dunleavy sa le bhfuair se buas.
Well, cai mé rá gur chúla mé gur thug siad 10 soldier ar Morgan an ihe sin. Bhí Morgan Dunleavy in a másc, bhí aithne ag a daine air agus ní híl siad nírónach daine eile costalach a héin agus coideach ar scarabí. Sianam nach rónach beidir darnanach na réis leis beidirúnean siad magu air.
Tás a gyn gohar an Garda Costa in sin Morgan Dunleavy, hau se córle ar an stoci vi hísan sin ag an am gor o seo contorte, dar hecin hénin sin nar a ceidim hannig an míns nistia agus a mac coplúar leis na tonta agus an arigin sin agus wheelse caricathe, na na réimse ceidim gor o barle codecu nar o dohor a bíon sin.
Bag na 3 chuaire a chluig I néad an na húdarais fána math an bhíana ar leithinne an nuí, hanig se a dír agus é bualú ar na caraigethe. Nar a hiig Morgan Dunleavy nach ró na Gardaí ag teacht, beag se héin an tré le fisa chuir ar an arm.
Nuair a chonig na gasrí nach raon do haron, ag bualún chladí sa gal aráistir a ton. Sís lag a gasta le éthirte dír, ach bísin an na dylach ar í cannaí go dír.
Nuair a bhí don líomhí ar siúl, thacraí codan na daoine foiiste an mianach a tharraingt níos ar an tré. Chur siad rópa thart ar cheann de spící an bhíanaí agus thoise siad a tharraingt iste.
I know there's a few fellas among them that was anxious to get the main in and do something with it, you know. But after had sense and the young fellas around about, they would say, well, we're going to dig in this and do something with it. You better move. But they didn't do that. No, they didn't do that for some unknown reason.
If I was there, I'd be doing the same. I'd be pulling the main ashore. So we didn't know nothing about mines. Getting the far it was.
I don't think anyone really thought of the danger, really, that could be involved with this mine going off. They didn't really imagine the danger and what it would cause. They didn't really think of it at the time as being so bad as what it turned out to be.
So I made a bad job. For young men, you think would have more sense, but
Ba brehannas an cháiste crónéire gur mariú an líonar déag de mianach phleasca. Ní réanta siad fa ciacu a bhí ná nach ró morgan don líomhí neamarta, a chuir siad agus sin le tuairiscin cháiste. Léon Neil McGinn lí sleacht as an agus sin sin.
There siad títar dúin, go bhéad hí an trágóid seo a háchtnú, da néanú Sergeant Allen, Bacha chur ar na daoine gol ad leis an mBainach go dtí go deochu an aram.
Ní ró an Sergeant Allen a lethir ag cruinniú an cháiste crónéire. Aistríú amachas an dúige é an le i néana phleasca agus ní achas an sin a ríis ní ba bhó é. Si an rud a chur an farag ar Gaeltacht na marú go dtí an le tainiuhan ná nach nearnú riamh fisrúhan ofigiúil anion a vinnic a iarúil héid. Cé nachhfuil éon chimhne ag Pat Gallagher ar an Tubáiste, fáil go é le heachta médiacht gan trár éair nach coideachta Birch Uncle, agus fuair a éair mór buas le crí briste tú was tíad a bhliain. Ó léir na nuachadí tá híl dírithe ag Pat ar chamarú a dhéanú ar a siúd a cailleadh.
I was in Canada and I came back and I got a monument built down on the site because nobody ever knew exactly what it was. And after that then we got documents at the inquest which was never given to any of the people that lost ones. And after, when I got them documents then, I thought it'd be nice to put them in a wee book, all the information that was available. So I interviewed about 5 or 6 of the people that was there that night. And then the men that, brothers that lost their people, they always said that they'll never see apology in their time. They knew that the guards were wrong all along, but they never had it in writing.
Sa bhíon 10,000 agus a 8 runniu iarracht an céasa ardú ag level an rialtas tríd an inadaí éitiúil an seanad ar Brian O'Donnell.
Hannig Pat agus Daniela an tasí geirí orm achhunaí anu chuig an rialtas agus chuig an tarajlí agus ceart rinmé sin. Dardaí mé an cist go poblaí an seanadéireann an mí ebre ní a bhíl sa hart ag lárg frigra agus leisceal ón stáit.
The reason, Elias Cailleadh, that I'm raising this issue on the adjournment this evening is that the families, and there's members representing the families here in the gallery this evening, who lost loved ones in the tragedy, are to this day, some 65 years on, very aggrieved that when the presence of the mine close to the shore, as I referred, was brought to the attention of the local authorities such as in Garda Síochána, no action was taken to isolate the danger area until the mine could have been rendered harmless.
Cé gur ó freigra fáite agus gur ó an stáití ré gur ó brón agus buartha mór áthú ní ró an liescail chur foiil agus tá mé agrú cruniú inis leis an taraidlí agus ceart te mé pat thar ceann pobl na heite agus measam sa ggóil se táhaachta an deise thuirt dá muir na heite na ceisteanna seo ardú leis an ara. Tá sulagam sa gur féidir in sin sort éigen da dúnú eil an cist trágáide seo agus go méon stáit sesta a ré leis na tealaí go ró an stáit láchta go ginearálta agus gur féidir an sin bogú ré.
Is in éad a pat a leora ailsiú a hanig sear iltean do chud na ngairdí sa chartlan naisianta nach ró ar fáil don phobal go dtí sin. Na rudaí a bhí le léamh san iltean sin, chuirsiad go mór le hamhras wainsear na dúithe, go ndearnú mancógaí tromchúiseacha ag an am, agus gur choní na húdarais faoi chealt siad in na dhé sin.
This is the poster that was posted in all barracks all over the country, warning the people about a mine when it's coming ashore or comes ashore.
Okay, so it's an instruction as to what they should do if they see a mine coming ashore.
This is another document stating what the guards should do.
This is a letter from the Garda headquarters. This is the instruction to every Garda in every station.
Right.
And it states, whenever a report that an explosive article has been washed ashore is received at any Garda station, the member in charge will immediately take such steps as are necessary to ensure that no one approaches to within 500 yards of the article and will at once report the matter to the nearest military post. He didn't do that.
No, he didn't do that, no.
Because this is a clear instruction to the Garda. He should have known exactly what to do.
Well, I just know what we always knew is that what I always heard is the guards didn't do their duty when they were notified.
Dal sí an rialtas an tráir seo mar tharla se go minic sa tréimhse sin go da go mianaí I ddír thart ar chásta na hÉireann. Sa bhí an lídeag da hí sa trí a bhain, hanig 5 bhíon a déag I ddír a Thír Chonaill. Tí umíd an chin a Mhanáis, dírí leis na húdarais cintiú nach nearna na mianaí seo eile dáthar ar bí. An le cíarna in ar phleasc mianach Mhanáis, scriosú dhé bhíana eile a losúlaí níos faide a non ar chásta go na ngáil. Nuair a lóir an Sergeant Allen, dúirt gur hílte gur leor an Lieutenant Don Levy a churchaigh an láthair le tuairisce dhéanú. Nuair a tugadh cearclann an ghairde dá, dúirt tíim ón chearclann gur áramsa a bhí an dúilgus dálchaigh an láthair, an tain leisceal atá agam na gur mbeidh fannacht ar scéala arás ó Lieutenant Don Levy. Bhí go leor eile an dúige sin ar lór Michelá, a bhí an bhí héasta agus a chéin an Sergeant Allen as a dhí bhart an leis sin.
Chorthain a látar ar seaartain a bhí. A seaartain Allen cinnte, ní chorthain a látar a mhaine a hé. Ar an áige, bhí sé míochtainna agus bhí sé miltainna. Gyda'r cymína ar sa go bar a bhain sé harapí. Nyr a hain sé sa, díd, níos mó fysa hynny wediad, siadar sy'n ffaitsi. Nis, rhaid se tumulta eithaf sa. Agus díos fysa hynny wediad a tamsin, siadar sa adr sa chlada.
It shouldn't have happened. If people would do their work as they were supposed to, getting paid to do, it should never have happened. So, he should never have got away with it. You know, we went through it, and the fellow should have been punished.
Nuair a dearc me héin ar na capisí, for má narmh iad muintir na héite a bhain a forlacht ar an Sergeant Allen, a go bhfuair oifigí hinsear an na ngáirdaí agus oifigí rialtais lacht ar chomaidh. Is í an cheist a hagan a níos a gcónaí ná. Go tí nár ordaíú fisrú a neamhs blea leis an saoin cheist seo a réite. Agus mé gáil níos duimne a rístin sa scíal, hanig mar litir an 5 da bhí na Bealtaine, 5 le in éana Tubáiste, agus le a bhain in éag sacradí 8 agus siúd a cailleadh. Litir an ar málu nar chór fisruchan a bheith an. Fuiú an litir agus síniú leis na litratha GB ar an 8 da bhí na Bealtaine. Bhí an cinú deanta go hafigiúil ar an 9 GB. Cé hé GB inis? Dehin ma gur le Gerald Boland an tara dlí agus ceart ag an nám na litratha sin GB. Glacu an cinú gan fisrúhan a cheadú ag an level is airde den rialtas agus níor corú an méid sin an núl riaw don na Gaelta. Hí me siú gur an cinú deanta. Sin rud a bhín seo. So bhín teile seo castala heile go fáil. I geirí go má fisrúhan an, daoine a chail deartharatha, éirithe, Farcéile, agus bhín cinú deanta ar an 9 agus ar an 4 leis fiad bhí si seo go fáil I geirí fisrúhan. Iala í. A tharla rud an teart ionta sífol ag an chruinniú seo. Tá chasalach don go danig éire nach mór ar intin na Gaile ag cruniú ar run na dlíadarí agus an chléir éitiúil chamaid. Thachar siad de éonghú gan fisrúhan a larig fasta. Go títhe ar éire siad a nintin. Léiríonn litir ó Cheanfort na Ngáirdaí éitiúile thug commissioner na Ngáirdaí a mhailithe clia cod de na cúiseanna go réirthaí na teaghlaí a nintin go toban.
This is another document. It's from Superintendent Lane. And it's stating about our TD from Gweedore, Cormac, Breslin, what he said about the people, putting pressure on them for no inquiry. So you can read them.
The next reference I heard made to this inquiry was the 13th, Thursday, when I was present in the graveyard at Kincasla at the funeral. I was approached by Mr. Cormac Breslin, TD Bunbeg, whom I did not previously know. He made reference to the question of an inquiry and said that it would be ridiculous to hold an inquiry, that it would only show up the local people as an ignorant, stubborn lot who had no respect for authority. Similar views were expressed by the Reverend Canon McAteer, and the piece that you've highlighted here.
Here at the bottom is about the parish priest.
He expressed himself very strongly about being double-crossed by these people and intimated that he would find out as to who was responsible for this further demand. And I suppose the demand that they were making was that they should have an inquiry. And Canon McAteer said that he had been double-crossed. Is léir gur chrid an teachta déile, cléir na héite agus daoine nach iad gro an locht ar na híbertaí chéin nuair a harann siad an mianach iste agus rinne neu iontas da rabhah don lévi. Chrid siad fásta go néró sé an pobl da jocu an scéal seo amá. Gré learna sa scéal an cadrih a bhí idir an Sergeant Allen agus muintir na héite. Dí bhí le ré. Again, Príomh Cheanfort fashion, the Chief Superintendent has expressed the opinion that the request for the inquiry was made on account of hostility against the local sergeant, who apparently has been unpopular in the area for a long time, and who was, of course, guilty of grave neglect of duty in this matter. Apparently the sergeant, while considered a conscientious policeman, is not very tactful and has made a number of enemies locally. I measc na newide sin, bhí grúpa daoine ága ar a dogtaí an tairm buin, a bhí ag siar chibhlint leis an Sergeant Allen agus na Gairdaí. Thuailm me go leor tagartí don arm buin agus mé géirí níos. Tagartí dúiltatha de ré a bhíonn tú, agus a bhí gur droch hancur acu ar an dúiche.
I knew most of the so-called White Army. They were just a nuisance group. That was all they really were. at the beginning, what started them away was somebody stole some chickens from a lady's hen house. And of course, they got them all ready, and eventually they had a big feed on the chickens a day or two later. But apart from that, the White Army didn't do any damage that I know of. A man could come into his byre some morning and find the cows or the horses' harness on a cow. You know, things like that they did. See, but the things they were doing were more nuisance than harmful, you know. But they got a bad name.
Takem na ni mutara niro Sergeant Allen agus the condan the actual for a lera way and ni shin les galabi skamos jewel gaje harley jan munarosha hen able to heart but we five passel da gele constant the jan beharta or a lead Dini yella na dini is boile we here hortis jahan agus the horror lahar rich mutara Chagwalch she's clock.
Is there one who run the farsche Neil Macawarki Chomai? Agus Mowaka Sawel Hen, Hanig Sha immediate the geistert le skielte de gassort van arm boen. A kridgen shishin gur doiche nachroshad ni ba vasse na dram auger bielle.
Dan ynnym dyn ni'n contraltio, Jerry, gyda mas casar sy'n White Army, gys rhan mas gyda'r di contraltio, gys mi gyda'r blagad, dach dwi'n hen, bysyn, cyndan y cahaw amser I fi gael I gynam, ni ro dach cahaw amser y gynna haw, gael ystas y wok y telefon I fi hwes y balish yn y deireach yn y community centre I fi gyn, wok y telefon, agos fi gyda'r blagad dach dy gael o gynna, agos fi ni smog gael snam a hwy roen.
Wel, o hif ma had taidje hen da, cheater du sy gyda'n blagad ar dy fi gael y mala du, mae'r dwi du hen, yn cyn alwyd y fi tarlw yn sy'n fi siarad tarlw yn ahan wal y ffrigi cheer.
Fi, rysg, sy'n siarad asg yn cahaw amser I fi fawgyn. A hanna le ihe, ni ronna sgefftio had la chelle. Yn siogan yn y ffarstio, wel hw bydio'r siacht yn achter gyn la chelle. Agos na eich bi wel sgefftio gasser, ta ryddi gael efo gent, ta rydyn mwynio ryddi nach mwyn draw rodol ys y niw, gys bydio'r gyda'r mwyn ryddi danien hi sy'n let a niwa. Sgyntio gymwyd na gerdi na darsa, gys Jerhin malatwch, fytyn fi bli yn rhyfysyn. Gyda ryddi len gahalc, mae'r fi a hanna echele.
Tesaw, gyda mater walatw, mae'r Jerhin tamsyn, fi eisiau Kristyn na omrota. A nira or na erhaid an tohen na gudwr da nyrdi rynchyd. Rynchyd ryddi cynti, diolch I gyniad. A ni'r helchyd ar y ddahanig arw. Ni'r ar y ddahanig arw tiltacw.
Maran an tuarim yn enchyn cydyn y dyn I go ffoil, gyda an tarim boen ffrygra vala yn siacht as an rwyd a harle yn trei yn y ysyn. Ach, ni hasan an tuarim sy'n lish na ffidiki. As na fer oga a Mario, ni ro a trwyr ac yw bonche lish an arim boen. Ach, is caswl gro cynchur ag an tuarim sio chynw na ganri echule a fe yn edyn ffysrwhan. Agus crydym hen, go mini yn sy'n go salir an fwy nar plew an sgiel go pobli maran. Ta mwyntir na dwy cyntio de go ffoil, gyda fiad na gardi a fi ffrygra as an echa recha agus an pobl a chynel hiwl o'n chontert, agus na wyls a chansio an arm boen a ieracht a chornôl gyr harin siad an tobastio arw hen, gyr dini gan tewachtiad na dini a calw. Nor a smwychym siar na rodi a chanig me agus a chwala me. Heglaw an arag agus an brisiw cri a wohuin an pobl sio an yw'r nhw inta stifa a hegfal. Agus tegym gyngilyn siya go ffol i'r gilta na nini a calw sa tabasio sio nach digtar go fforliahan cydje go gira a harla. Anish agus contas ogun yr harla. Contas a skagan na nirinio on enschgiel. Bedja go dór ehantas mar a sceart an obair a rinne pat agus an pobl éitiúil, agus go dóthar airdeanais do hinchar na Tubáiste a tharla a Mhanáis. Sa deireadh híar hall, tá go deis do pat in éanacht leis an seanad ar Brian O'Donnell an scéal omlan a chur faoi bhréid an rialtas a mBaile clia. Agus larag leisceal an ara Julie agus ceart.
Yeah, it went the way more or less that I expected it. I showed him all the paperwork that I had on the mine disaster. And he really was shocked to see it. He never heard anything about it. And he didn't want to apologise because he said he would leave it open for claims. But he said he would come to Donegal and visit the site and talk to the people. No, there's no more. There's no more they'll do. That's as far as it's going to go now. Well, I feel the authorities let the people down in 1943, and I feel they're still letting the people down. At least people now know what happened at Ballymanus on the 10th of May 1943. We've got eyewitnesses, we've got a book wrote, and we've got the Garda files. So now there's no excuse for not knowing what happened. I think when the last of the relatives is gone, it'll just fade away. Because the young people won't be interested. There'll be no more mass, nothing.
Is siomí maithar nar tógúdaí hi cían, is siomí éthar a bhí phleasc a bían. Is siomí cailleadh a bhfuil buile cruaigh, bín súil le mur, ach ní bhín súil le thuaigh.